Hello everybody and welcome back to a new split of the Aegis Protector League. I am so excited to be here again with you. We've got an exciting matchup to break down today as we've got the Korean Queens Club taking on Conduit Esports Phoenix, and I am Else the Queen, joined here by Quacks. Welcome back to the APL, my friend. New day, but you know, same old league, and we've got the full draft for you here due to a Riot spectator issues. So break it down for us.
Yep, so you can see that we have the full draft right here. Like Elsa just said, we are unable to view the games in real time, so we have to rely on the replays, and so that means that the draft has already been finished and the players are most likely on their ways to starting in game 2. Luckily though, you can still see the draft, and I guess while we are here, while we are waiting for the game to be popped up on the Raffle files, we can talk a little bit about these drafts. So for those of you that are not actually watching the screen, or maybe just want us to run it down for for Korean Queens Club, we have the Milio, Lucian, Jarvan, Galio, Yone. And for Conduit Esports Phoenix, CPX, we have Senna, Brand, Swain, Xin and Urgot. So a lot of comfort pick mixed with a lot of meta. Specifically, I think a pick that really caught my eye was the Brand. I think that this is a champion that a lot of people have been putting respect on, both as a powerhouse for damage and also as a flex pick. Brand jungle has been arguably one of the strongest things in the role at the current moment. We haven't seen a lot of him in competitive, but it doesn't look like that stopped Conduit Esports Phoenix from picking him up. So I'm really excited to see that in this game. And Korean Queens Club at the same time, just basically a tried and true 5v5 comp. They want to go for team fights. They want to go for these big 5-man all-in engages and just wipe the team off the floor through pure teamwork and macro superiority.
I couldn't have said it better myself. And yeah, I mean, I guess we are ready to go into game. The last thing I did want to say before that, Quacks, or kind of ask you is, I guess the one flex pick that I'm wondering about potentially over on the side of CPX is that Swain and Brand. Do you anticipate that the Brand could potentially be in the mid lane? You know, with that Senna, there's definitely some flexibility there. So what do you think would be kind of ideal going into probably the Galio mid? Although I guess it could be Galio top, but that would be a little surprising. Seems like it would just get ganked to oblivion.
Yeah, I mean, I would expect the Swain to probably go in the bot lane with Senna. I think that is the most likely scenario, but there is always the instance where the Brand goes bot with Senna, maybe has a little bit of bot lane shenanigans there and puts the Swain mid. And I honestly think I might like that a little better, especially when Swain does get that demonic ascension, when he does get that level 6. It makes it more risky for Galio to go in for the engage, try to all in the Swain. It gets a lot more difficult to actually kill him and chunk him out, whereas the Brand kind of can just get comboed, can try to trade it back, but that magic damage shield really prevents you from dealing a lot of damage until that 1 to 2 item mark. So we'll have to see what they do as we jump right into the game. Our producer saying they're ready for us to hop right in there, so whenever it is ready, we will be going into game 1. Once again, everybody, this is week 1 of the APL, so welcome back, everybody. It feels like it's been too long, but like Elsa said, we have a banger matchup here for game 1, week 1, and I promise you, it's not going to be a black screen for...
Well, no worries. Looks like we're, going to get into it in a second. But you know who else is back, Quacks, is our sponsor, which is Coachify GG.
Bro.
And I'm here to remind you that Coachify GG provides tools for esports coaches to manage their teams and players while also finding those new students. That means getting you business, getting you those big bucks. So you want to click on the panel located just below the video on the stream here, and you can find more information about Coachify.gg. You know it's legit because they're back 2 splits in a row. So happy to have them. And hopefully we can get into the game in a moment. I mean, I guess another thing to touch on here, with the draft coming out from the Korean Queens is, I know in competitive play, this Lucian Milio does tend to be a super strong lane. So I'm really excited to see what can happen in the bot lane early on here, as it looks like we finally are onto the rift for reals. And we can find out the answer to those questions and more coming up soon.
Yep, so it looks like it is actually going to be that Swain mid. And like I said, I really like this. It makes it a lot more difficult for Galio to go for those engages, really chunk out the Swain. He just is tankier in general, has higher health-based stats, so there is always that extra level of survivability, not to mention he gets healed from his ultimate, so that is also pretty nice. But yeah, like you said, Elsa, this Lucian Milio bot lane is super oppressive, and you can see with the added aggression of the Ignite coming out from Twice Ones along with the PTA. So this is telling me they are looking to go aggressive. They are looking to fight as early as possible. And I think CPX might have the same idea, as we have a Ghost Flash and an Exhaust Flash. So aggressive summoner spells that don't necessarily point toward this bot lane wanting to play it safe at all. Try to match that fire with fire.
Yeah, fire indeed. And I mean, I know definitely also Doran's ring really strong right now, so it's taking advantage of that, I suppose. I'm a little wigged. We got to get the to our producer, if we could get the summoner names possibly onto the spectator at some point, that would be awesome. Thank you. We get the live view here. This is like pretty much, hey, it's the authentic Riot experience at this point. They only got one observer on their broadcast, so I don't know how they're doing it any different now. So anyways, you know, might as well just tune in here. But early game, you know, we just got some farming going on in these first couple of minutes, looking at these junglers paths here, you know, coming towards the bot lane for Jarvan, so potentially could be looking for some kind of gank here, but not a ton of CC with that Milio. You know, more about the safety for the Lucian early on. He's coming around.
Yeah, he's coming around, but his bot lane doesn't yet have level 3, so the full amount of damage is not unlocked here, but they're going in anyway.
Oh, all right, we're going to get a fight into the bot lane here, and it is going to just be that route coming through from Senna. Going to be able to stop the aggression, and mid lane, a little bit of a DC, hopefully dabs. That's what I'm going to say, I guess, is going to be able to come back soon. It looks like there is a reconnect.
Yep, absolutely. A little bit of a small disconnect there, but yep, Flash burned away from Not So Dark, so he is going to have to play a little bit safer on this brand pick until that comes up. But yeah, this isn't a mobile bot lane, and so against a champion like Jarvan, who loves to gank, loves to fight, it's really good. And speaking of fighting,
okay, Tinsley trying to stick around in this lane to pick up some of this farm, but it pushed forward too far, and this is the reason why we don't necessarily see a ton of Yone top in competitive play, just very vulnerable to those ganks. And Jin Zhao has definitely emerged early in this season as a premier jungler as far as that early game aggression.
Yep, Nation showing up once again. This is a premier player in the APL, or, you know, around that sort of rank border of Plat Emerald. This is a premier name. A lot of people know who this guy is. He's an incredibly proficient and consistent jungler that a lot of people have heard of, and he is showing his experience there in that gank. After that bot lane gank failed from the 3 camp, he decided to just go straight back up top, look for another gank, no harm, no foul. And yeah, he found his first kill of the game, putting CPX on the map.
Yeah, and it is going to result in a bit of a gold lead for CPX early on. Still less than 1K, just about 800, so not anything too significant. No early objectives taken. And remember, in this new season, we got the Void Grubs, so those are chilling out. And it looks like actually Nation might be interested in starting those up, but actually not for now, as we just see some trading in the top lane. And actually, Tinsley, despite that early death and being a level down, still looking pretty good going into Stubby here. Looks like they might continue to fight a bit, but yeah, now the Void Grubs are being started.
Yep, Nation just going to take away those grubs. Daji is what I'm just going to call him. Not really able to contest, doesn't have top lane prio. His mid laner, Bucket Boy, going on the reset, so no real chance to go and fight for those. Luckily, though, And about 5 minutes after those are taken, you have the chance to fight. And speaking of fight, top lane again.
Oh, okay. This time, Tinsley taking a lot of damage there.
Whoa, 6.
Urgot able to connect, just hitting the 6, and sniping out the Yone. He's going to go down, and it's going to be a solo kill for the top laner of CPX, and it's going to put another one on the board for the red side.
Yep, Tinsley not having the greatest of games so far. 0 and 2 start on the Yone, but he had flash. It felt like he could have potentially dodged out from that fear beyond death and saved himself, but I suppose the ult was just too fast. Stubby, really good recognition to just immediately go for the ultimate. What a snipe. And now really securing this topside gold lead for CPX about 6.5 minutes into this game.
Absolutely are. And with those 3 Void Grubs being taken on the side of CPX, I feel like the word on the street is if you get, you know, all 6, that's kind of when it is really advantageous. So we'll have to keep an eye on that as the next set come up. And we'll see if BBF Dali will be able to do anything about that. But so far for now, you know, checking in on some of the farm numbers here, we're looking pretty even other than in the mid lane where this Galio has fallen behind. I think that is, you know, something we can kind of take for granted. Part of the reason people don't pick this a ton is just, you know, short range, and it does get pretty punished as far as the farm. Back in the day, used to be able to do so much damage with your abilities to farm, but I digress. The dragon being started up here, and I mean the Galio, my point is really for the team fight, so we'll see if Bucket Boy can shine there, although I think that was probably a DC.
Yeah, DC,
if we're gonna be honest, but you take what you can get, I suppose. If you're KQC in this situation, that is what happened. And Dabs reconnecting only to find themselves in the death chamber.
Yeah, gray screen unlucky there for Dabs, but Dragon picked up there by the Korean Queens Club. That is a tongue twister.
Oh,
in the bot lane,
not so dark. He's going to get Cataclysm on. He does have the flash, but with that Galio ultimate coming through, just not even going to attempt to get out of that. And Bucket Boy is just going to run away after getting that taunt off, not able to follow up because of the turret. But nevertheless, it's going to be a 2-kill run here for the side of KQC. And now you can see, despite the early trade, Stubby seems to be looking pretty dangerous here for Tinsley, as long as he doesn't run out of mana.
Yeah, but I do want to highlight that they use both the Grand Entrance as well as the Cataclysm.
There's a lot of cooldowns.
That is a lot of cooldowns, especially just for a support. They do secure the kill, but it almost doesn't feel that worth it. Yeah. As you can see here, Dabs going to get a plate. Yeah, Dabs, you're going to miss a huge wave if you're Galio, and not only that, but the Swain gets the plate in return, you know, really making use of those Void Grubs. So a kill is a kill, but CPX managing to trade back some stuff in the process, and now with both those ultimates down, they could potentially look for a play.
Yeah, as the mid lane, Bucket Boy going to take some turret aggro there, but still actually getting a pretty nice trade, and it's just a question of whether or not, KQC can sort of withstand their lack of cooldowns for a little bit longer here. But as you said, the damage is sort of already done. Looking at the gold difference, it did not really change much, still about a little under 1,000 for CPX, despite the fact that the kill count is now even. So just kind of goes to show that CPX was getting other business done around the map. And we do see that the second round of those Void Grubs is spawning up, and it looks like Nation definitely has their eye on them on this side of the map. We'll see what KQC has to say about it, because Jarvan is over here, but even Senna roaming up means looking pretty difficult to contest.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Senna roaming up here, it's going to be most likely a 4-man coming out from CPX. This is really bad for Korean Queens Club, having to deal with going against 6 Grubs, especially with how much back and forth push this Swain has managed to get on this Galio. You really fear for leaving the lane now if you're Galio, going for a Grand Entrance, because if you do that, if by some chance you misplay or your Grand Entrance is completely denied and you don't get anything in return, suddenly you've lost 1, maybe even 2 plates to this Swain, who is already beginning to scale up with the gold lead we've already touched on.
Yeah, and I mean, it is going to be those Void Grubs going down, so Nation is going to take all 6 of them. Will get the little grubbies of his own behind him should CPX be in a position to siege later on in this game. And I mean, you know, so far it looks like they should, especially if you consider, you know, the short range nature of this KQC composition. I don't feel like it's something, you know, we've really touched on yet, or I've really thought about, but the double melee solo laners and then Lucian being your AD carry, you know, Milio, and I don't even know if he's technically ranged, but it doesn't matter because he's not auto attacking anybody. So it's looking, yeah, it's definitely going to be tough if the siege is able to be set up here for CPX. I mean, even thinking about that brand and the Senna, not fun to defend against.
Yeah, absolutely. Not only that, but with such short range, like you said, Elsa, it's going to essentially force them to be the ones to engage into every fight.
Right.
When you're going against champions like Swain and Brand who are saying, yeah, come at me, bro, it just makes it such a dangerous game for KQC to play. They have to be really careful and really track those ultimate cooldowns before they decide to go in, because as this game progresses, as CPX continues to scale and get these gold leads for themselves, they just become stronger. They become harder to engage.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's something that's very common. As actually Black Wolf is going to be caught out here, tries to use his ultimate to get himself away, and he is going to be able to do so with the flash and the heal. But now it is the Jarvan arriving alongside with the Galio, and Stubby is here, but is it too little too late? Domination under the turret trying to survive, but it is going to be Tinsley picking up the last hit before he's able to get away, and now Stubby going under the turret. Bucket Boy wants to keep pursuing, but I don't know if you want that fight. Birdo, and he's gonna go down, and that should be the last of this brawl for now. Dabs is coming into the area, and actually that will not be it, because it will be KQC. They want to start up this dragon and try to get that stacking rolling. They did pick up the first one, remember, and they are going to be able to drop this one very low. Swain still looking like he wants to make something happen. Tinsley, he does have the flash, so he's going to use it to get over the wall, but Swain trying to take matters into his own hands and flashes over himself, not going to be able to land the root. And I don't think that they're going to be able to find anything in this pursuit. Nation maybe going to be able to pick up Black Wolf, and he will with the proc of the Tiamat there at the very end. Once just able to get over the wall, and when all said and done, a lot of cooldowns used to get away, but also a lot used to pursue, and only the support going down. He already used summoner spells prior to that, and I mean, hats off to KQC. They're definitely keeping themselves in this game.
Yeah, and hats off to Dabs there. If you looked at that play initially where he flash ulted over the wall, you could definitely call that sort of a tilt, or sort of just an instinctual play. But with the Malignant added onto that, he did a lot more damage, had a lot more survivability, and the healing was just too much for KQC to really deal with. And add that onto the fact that CPX, all the members were starting to come back, respawn from that previous Tri-Bush fight. And yeah, they managed to get one back, but like you said, Elsa, a lot burned to just get a support. So we'll have to see what they do with that gold. But for now, it is still KQC commandingly in the driver's seat of this game one.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely feels like CPX is, you know, kind of the one following up now later on the plays, which is exactly like we said, you know, needs to be the case. If KQC is going to win this game, they need to be proactive with those ultimates. And actually, I was just really Choice One taking a lot of damage here from the brand. Ultimate was dropped there, and you can see how much that is going to start to hurt over the course of time. It's only going to get worse and worse, because now, you know, Choice once again not very much range, so every single time he walks up for CS will be in danger.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, there is still the issue of Tinsley on this top lane. Black Cleaver was acquired by Stubby a long time ago, and now it's getting really difficult for any of the small bits of armor that Tinsley have to come in use during any of these trades. It's just constantly being shredded. You basically have no defensive stats against the Urgot at this point, which makes it really hard to duel him and really hard to get priority. And we can see that difficulty in priority here as Nation starts up this Herald, and basically KQC have to give it for free.
Yeah, BBF Dodgy trying to pick up or get the knock up there, but isn't able to land it. Yeah, and I mean, it just definitely seems like KQC controlling the bot side, and you know, as far as at least the resources, whereas the top side very much belonging to CPX. And I don't know, I mean, how good do you assess Urgot to be in this meta? Because I mean, just anecdotally, he's definitely been really good in my solo queue games when I've seen him kind of with on my team and on the enemy team. So I don't know, is he good in the current meta, or is it just kind of this game thing?
I mean, Urgot is kind of in a funky spot. He is a champion that really suffers against items like the Randuin's Omen, like the Frozen Heart, Warden's Mail. To any of the Urgot mains, it is basically his
this is like the best matchup for him.
Yeah, none of the champions really on the KQC.
Or it's a good matchup.
Yeah, none of the members on the KQC lineup are really comfortable building a Frozen Heart or a Randuin's early on. Obviously, I think the most evident one is Dodgy. You could go for maybe like a third item Randuin's, but with how low economy this Jarvan has been playing here in game one, that third item is going to take at least another 20 minutes.
Tinsley going really low. The ultimate already hit, and it's a killing spree for the Urgot, and I do not know who's going to answer him in the side lane, but there's other questions to be answered here in the bot lane, as Bucket Boy is going to be too little too late. The flash out is going to keep well, actually it wasn't even flash, it was just ghost out, keeps domination safe, and now it's going to be the kiting spree for Nation, and domination getting the heals up from domination. Not So Dark able to stay alive as well, and it's just Black Wolf left. Nation now dropping the Rift Herald, and even when you look at these objectives, all of the top lane objectives going to CPX so far, all of the dragons on the other hand going to KQC. But now Dodgy waiting in the wings is going to land the knock up onto Not So Dark, has the Cataclysm still, and is going to pick up Nation into it also. But okay, he does pick up the first kill, but now in a 1v3, Stubby also joining the situation, going to pick up another kill. Rift Herald is going to be taken down, though, will not get another chance to charge. But overall, looking at that gold lead, all of a sudden it's exploded into the side of CPX, who have managed to translate their objectives into those turret kills, and now they're going to translate it into an Ocean Dragon and slow down that stacking from KQC.
Yeah, I mean, in KQC, really their game plan was to get to a soul point here, but with Dodgy sadly falling in that fight, that means that they are going to have to wait another 5 or so minutes until that comes up. And with how the game has been going, it feels like it's not going to be any easier for them to get the next dragons. I'll say it feels like every single time CPX has been growing this gold lead. Now we're at about 4 to 5k in favor of CPX. A turret being taken by Tinsley, so that does help a little bit, but now Stubby with the Fear Beyond Death and 2 items, Jackshow being acquired. That is one scary Urgot to deal with. And we'll have to see how KQC plan to react.
We absolutely will. I mean, I think, I mean, going back, I think it's a really good point going back to what you said about the dragons, because what CPX has managed to do is, you know, they got those grubs, they get the Herald, and these are really what I've heard people say are win more objectives, right? I mean, if you're ahead, you are able to take advantage of them and continue to grow your, not only your gold lead, but more importantly, your control of the map. And, you know, with that comes, especially when you're the red side team, control of that dragon pit, because, you know, as we saw earlier with KQC, even when they got the dragon, there's not really any way out the back of that pit unless you got your flash. And Not So Dark, speaking of not any way out, they're going to drop the whole house on him. And I just feel like Bucket Boy's hitting this R button a little too quickly some of these times. I don't know that it's needed.
For one kill, it feels like you're really wasting.
It seems like they have it.
Ultimate.
Yeah.
And now this is potentially CPX's chance to say, okay, they don't have the Cataclysm, they don't have the heroic entrance. We can just potentially go in on this, bring Stubby down from the top lane where he is in this bush now, and just fight it. Numbers be damned, power be damned.
No, I'm not sure if I yeah, okay, all right. Well, that he was prophetic when he said that, because Dabs flashed forward but not going to be able to connect. And as we hope and pray that Quacks hopefully is able to reconnect soon, it's going to be up to twice once here on the Lucian largely. All right, he's back.
I never left.
Oh yeah, you were just gone for a second. Or a few seconds. We lost you for a few seconds, but that's okay. It was like when you said that, you know, you thought CPX should look for a fight, and then literally in that second, Dabs flashed, tried to flash root. But anyway, so I called you prophetic while you were gone. But yeah, now they're going for another fight, and they once again are not really able to make it happen, but they are able to do some damage to the health bars. But they now lose their mid laner to the internet gods. So that's unlucky. They've reconnected now again. Otherwise, I think they may have considered maybe trying to bait the Baron or something like that. But they are going to go back to base. I assume that the members of CPX probably got a good amount of gold in their pockets.
Yeah, and I mean, they're probably sitting on a lot of gold, like you said, Elsa, and getting those item spikes is going to be really important for CPX. You can see now that Dabs does have the Rylai's Crystal Scepter in inventory, and Nation on the Xin Zhao is almost complete with that Titanic Hydra along with the Sundered Sky. This really is the 2-item power spike that makes Xin Zhao so scary in this meta. Once he's able to hit it, these dragon fights become so much more difficult, and not even just the dragon fights, but fights in general become so much more difficult for KQC, because they don't have really any real way to burst down this Xin.
Yeah, and as Dabs is going to be in a 1v3 here, but the teleport coming in, will they be able to come save their mid laner in time? And the healing from Swain is absolutely ridiculous as the Senna comes through as well. But now Stubby in a 1v4, and even though this is a fed Urgot, I don't know that he can take on this many people, although now the reinforcements have arrived, and he did manage to do a lot of damage as the health bar is looking really, really low. Urgot is not able to pick up the kill, but look at that Brand. Oh, it's a double kill, as I was just going to mention before this fight. Brand finishing up the Leandries, and we can see the impact of that in the fight, just pressing that R button. Major skill expression in that moment from Not So Dark. And the siege is just going to continue here, because this Senna is so annoying with these Qs healing up the team, or, you know, wonderful, I guess, depending on your perspective. And yeah, it's going to be that turret going down, and the dragon is spawned up as well. And I would anticipate that CPX, they want to keep their foot on the gas pedal here, try to take that one and even up the dragon count.
Yeah, I would imagine so as well, but I really want to highlight Dabs in that fight. He was taking so much damage, making KQC waste so many spells on him, and he just kept healing up. And as soon as they deal with one raid boss, they have to go against Stubby, who is basically just a harder raid boss. He went from a level 30 boss to a level 100. Stubby just pulled up and is basically invincible on this Urgot now, acquires the Yomu's Ghost Blade of all items to give his auto attacks and his abilities a little bit of an extra kick. And that's exactly what he can do. 4-0 and 3, super fed, super tanky. He doesn't have to worry about being more tanky with how much sustain he innately has along with the Senna. He can just worry about dealing more damage and becoming more of a raid boss.
Yeah, that's a fun build, and we're gonna test it out here, because it's another 1v3, baby, as Tinsley's gonna ult into Narnia.
Oh, he got him.
He's gonna end up getting Urgot ulted instead, and I don't think that it's gonna go, anything good's gonna happen from here on out, because Jarvan against defend Urgot equals a dead Jarvan, and it's just the bot lane now from KQC trying to get away. A shutdown onto the Brand. It is going to go over to twice once, but that is all that will happen. That in the favor of KQC is now the Baron going to be targeted down from CPX, and they remain firmly in control of this game at this point. Quacks, it really just feels like a question of when, not if, they will take this first game of the 3-game series.
Yup, about 5 to 6k gold up here on KQC. An unkillable Urgot. Stubby coming up so clutch in this week 1, day 1 game. And with a familiar squad too, right? CPX has been in the AGL/APL for a while now. And off the back of Nation with a new squad, Nation and Not So Dark, sorry. Off of a new squad, they are getting new players to continue to impress, and this squad is always ready to bust out some new stuff with some new strategies and innovative gameplay, and they have been doing that in this game with just so many interesting picks, and the Urgot has been just coming up so clutch here.
Yeah, and I mean, when we looked at the draft at first, I think even off the stream, I was just saying that it looked, pretty troll, but obviously they know what they're doing because, it's going to be another kill going over. And I will say, like, for Tinsley in this game, not looking the best here on this Yone, but hopefully in the next one they can get maybe a less volatile matchup where, ideally would not get ganked for the first blood either way. But, even if that happens, that maybe, you can salvage a little bit more, because it does get really tough, in the carry v carry matchup like that for the Yone, if you do fall behind in this competitive setting. So maybe they can avoid that in the next one.
They're going on to Stubby again. Try again if it doesn't work the first time.
All right, yeah, and we are going to see the taunt coming through is going to stop some of the other aggression, but look at that damage from the backline as Domination still alive here. They don't even have Brand.
Oh my gosh,
by the way, in this fight. They don't need him because they've got Senna and they also have Swain, and neither of them are willing to die. Now Tinsley finally trying to find his moment here. Senna is going to finally die from that last tick of damage from the E from Yone, who and it's also going to be Dabs going down for the double kill. So Tinsley, like I said, not trying to judge his performance too harshly based on this one game, and he is able to show why he theoretically picked this Yone, even if it didn't work out exactly how he wanted it to throughout the majority of this game.
Yeah, I mean, Tinsley having such a rough game so far, but he manages to come up clutch when it matters. And that's all. That's really all that I'm assuming KQC can really care about now. They managed to stop CPX from taking that inhibitor, so there is a chance for this blue side squad to maybe look to get some wards. But I mean, if you look at the vision in this bot side jungle around this dragon, it is all red wards. It is all in favor of CPX. The KQC are actually going to try and clear some of that out. They will pick up the new and improved Rift Herald, which will reveal everything sort of in a line, or some, I'm slurring my words, everything in a circle. So they will be able to clear out and make the map more dark for CPX, potentially putting KQC on even footing with their opponents.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the Yone picking up that bot lane turret, so they do get that objective bounty, but they're not going to actually manage to spend that gold before this fight, which is not actually over a Dragon's Soul, but there is going to be a 2-member knockup coming through into the Cataclysm. What can they do with this? As not much so far. Jarvan just all alone to begin with, so he is going to go down. Finally, Bucket Boy here, but it's too little, too late. It feels like, as the backline of CPX has already managed to kite their way out of the fight. Bucket Boy going to miss the bucket there with the air ball ultimate, not hitting anybody, and it's ultimately going to be a 5-4-1 exchange there in the favor of CPX, continuing to dominate in this one. They're going to take the dragon. Whew, they're not going to end the game yet. 29 minutes in, just about 30 minutes here. They continue to stack their advantage. Someday they're going to end the game.
Yeah, I mean, it was looking good for KQC at the start as well. They got a really good Cataclysm onto the front line of CPX. Tinsley managed to just straight up. Yeah, he managed to straight up assassinate Domination on the Senna. So they were just down a man right out of the gate. But the Brand, the amount of damage and survivability from Stubby and Nation proved to be too much. There wasn't enough damage follow-up from that Cataclysm, and ultimately CPX take the fight, they take the dragon, they take some turrets, and they are continuing to inflate this gold lead even further. And now I just think it's about 1 to 2 more fights of just like that before KQC are sadly going to be 1 game down here in this first series.
We keep saying that. I mean, you know, it doesn't change my prediction, to be honest, but I do think that, you know, it shows that maybe one of the potential areas for improvement here for CPX, when you look at this game, even if you get the win, you gotta, you know, have takeaways, and, you know, maybe it is how can we more efficiently play the macro game here, because domination gonna have to flash out. Bucket Boy, just that, you know, that basic combo alone doing a lot of damage there. Wow. The face check disrespecting a little bit. So I mean, again, that's one of those things that when your Senna doesn't have flash, it's a lot harder to play out a super dominant team fight, even if you're ahead. So we'll see if Tinsley can maybe manage to assassinate domination once again, because definitely got a target on their back after that last play.
Yeah, I mean, it makes it a lot easier for the Senna to be focused around that backline, not having any really defensive summoner spells, and not really having much peel either. I think that this is something that CPX we haven't really talked about in terms of this comp. They have a lot of easy ways to get onto the backline of KQC, but not a lot of ways for KQC to prevent KQC from getting onto their own backline at the same time. So Senna and Brand are really at risk of getting bursted down, especially by Tinsley, who now has those 3 items complete, by Galio, who has that Storm Surge, and with so much burst being in the game, it makes it hard.
His chance to face check into the bush, but he's got the homies behind him, so they are going to back off here. And it looks like maybe it could be the Baron started up, but not quite, as Stubby trying to pursue Bucket Boy, who will be able to dash away to safety for now. Rather heroically charged to safety, I believe. And yeah, they are going to just continue to dance around this Baron. And I mean, I think, actually Baron, no more dancing. Nation wants to start it up, as Tinsley's on the other side of the map, does have the teleport for the Yone if they want to contest this, as Daji is sitting on a ward. So no vision of the Baron, as it's going pretty low. Looks like it's at about 2k. Jarvan is going to be able to go in, and it is going to be able to be picked up by the red team. Good attempt as far as the timing there from Daji, but after that, Jarvan really using those cooldowns to get into the pit. It is going to also be Bucket Boy, a casualty of the cause, as Nation definitely has something to say about these blue side members trying to get around that curve. There's a huge ultimate coming through from Tinsley, but unfortunately it was one that was completed out of desperation, not able to complete any actual kills off of the play. Looked really nice though. Meanwhile, Stubby in the top lane taking down the turret. The base is just going to be absolutely destroyed here by CPX, as we got the little grumblings helping out as well.
Yeah, absolutely. CPX with a commanding first game here. They are just going to take down twice once, pad the stats a little bit, but CPX are back, baby, and they're looking better than ever.
CPX, they are going to take that first game. Like you said, Quacks, definitely looking good in this one. And honestly, as far as adaptations going into the next draft, if you are KQC, I mean, maybe looking to take away this Urgot, but other than that, it didn't necessarily seem like it was any of the champions that were the problem. It was just more, you know, the overall execution and conceptualization of the team compositions as a whole. So I'm hoping that KQC, you know, maybe they can make some adjustments to, I don't know, come back in the next one, of course, because we want the close competition here in APL.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it seemed like KQC had the right idea, especially with the Jarvan Galio combo. You could do a lot with that. Just stack up on damage because you have so much crowd control and so much team fight threat with those that Cataclysm Heroes Entrance sort of combo. But yeah, it just felt like that plan fell through in the laning phase. CPX really managing to get the better of them gold-wise and item-wise. And and really not giving KQC an opportunity to use that team fight combo to its fullest when they were on even footing, because right out of the gate, they weren't on even footing. It was CPX just putting them in the ground, even at the slightest deficit from minute one, basically. So we'll have to see really if Korean Queens Club can pick up that early game a little bit, see if they can polish that off. And with that same kind of comp, if that early game can go better, I can totally see them taking game two.
Yeah, and with that, I do see that we, the draft has been completed for the second game, but we don't yet have the file, so I think we will go. Okay, awesome. So we're just gonna go to a very quick break, but I am informed by our awesome producer tonight that it is available. So we will be back in just a moment, and we can jump right in. No breaks or delays, spectator delays. Everybody's worst enemy, so we get to avoid that. That's the beauty of it, I suppose. We'll be back in just a moment. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the APL Week 1 here as we have got KQC taking another shot at CPX. And this time, I was just going to say, we have switched sides, as you have now seen reflected on the screen here, as KQC going to go over onto the red side. But once again, they've got a carry top laner here. In likely the Akali, it looks like, coming through, and so yet another volatile matchup into this top lane. Quacks, although a very, very different one here, with presumably the Rumble going up into that Akali.
Yeah, I kind of like the unorthodox nature of KQC's comp here. You have an AP top laner and an AD mid laner here with the Tristana, most likely going to index toward that mid lane. I think that this is a really solo lane heavy comp and something that really can be helped out by a champion like Ivern that KQC have drafted for themselves, just being able to heal and shield all the time. Now, there is the off chance that Ivern does decide to go a little bit haywire with maybe something like a Malignant into Cosmic Drive. This is something that some of the higher up Ivern players have been going, but I would imagine it's going to teeter more on the side of a support Ivern. And on the other side, CPX looks like they're kind of going for something different themselves. They have a lot of poke and a lot of magic damage on their side. Lux and Rumble, so two AP soul laners, puts a lot of emphasis on that Aphelios pick to be successful, because without that AD damage, you're really easy to build against. Things like Mauve Memortius are available. Kinetic Rookern is another item that could potentially be built by this Rakan, and overall magic resist is much easier to come by here in Season 14, so CPX have to be aware of that and make sure that they have at least a little bit of balance in terms of damage sources here in Game 2.
Yeah, and as we will get into the game here, we will have to see how those builds play out. But early on in this one, without any items starting on out, without substantial items starting out, the game will look a little bit different here. And I'm specifically looking at this mid lane matchup here between Bucket Boy and Dabs, because this time Bucket Boy definitely enabled in the lane to be aggressive, a lot more so than on that Galio. Just based on my personal Tristana mid experience, especially early in that one, if you know where the enemy jungler is, you are going to want to be jumping in on that Lux 24/7.
Yeah, for sure. Making sure that the Lux feels uncomfortable and really burning that flash early on could really set the stage for this laning phase to be taken over by Bucket Boy. And I think when you have a champion like Tristana, it puts so much more emphasis on getting the grubs. The bomb plus the damage that the towers take from grubs can really make for a nasty combo to really snowball this champion into absurdity, make it something that CPX aren't quite prepared to deal with. And so we'll have to see how they play around this top side, because that's ultimately what I'm looking at for KQC to really do. Make sure that this Akali is comfortable, make sure this Tristana is comfortable, and the Ivern BBF Daji is going to have to be the one to accomplish this goal.
Yes. And then the other side to accomplish the, opposing goal will be Nation, who is definitely set up to gank here on this Maokai, because he's not going to be scrapping with the enemy jungler or anything like that, especially given that it's Ivern. Neither junglers here very interested, is my assumption, in counter jungling each other early on, probably more about supporting these lanes. So I am hoping that we get some action early on this top side. I feel like Rumble sort of inevitably does push the lane a little bit with his Flame Spitter, although Akali does a little bit of a similar thing too with her Q. So we'll see how it ends up panning out here.
Yeah, there is equal amounts of poke here from the top lane, but you have to keep in mind that Stubby has a little bit of an advantage in that ballpark, has the Arcane Comet here with the Rumble, so that extra little bit of damage coming in through those E's and those Flame Spitters that will inevitably be hitting Tim Lee in this laning phase.
Yeah, I mean, and so far you can see Tinsley definitely doing a nice job of sidestepping those harpoons. Speaking of sidestep, it is going to be Dabs nicely moving away, but is actually going to have to burn the flash in the end. So Bucket Boy taking punishment on the backside, but still able to save the flash for the Tristana should she want to go for another all-in after she comes back from the base. Does have that TP, presumably might use that one to get back if Lux is able to push the lane forward. So no kills coming through so far, but it's all just to say that it might not be done. Work's not finished in the mid lane for KQC.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we talked about it earlier, like a couple of minutes ago, Elsa. Getting the flash off of this Lux was incredibly important to make this Tristana feel comfortable, and they did just that. So KQC already sticking to a pretty solid game plan here. And that mid laner will not have flash if there is a grub fight. So a very easy target for KQC to go on if there is at all a brawl toward that objective.
Yeah, Lux actually has not gone back to base at all yet. Ooh. Now is going to be able to go back off. And overall, actually, I think Dabs is going to get the the better of that. But now in the bot lane, we do all of a sudden have this 3v3 here as Nation, not very tanky early on, is going to go down first blood, also going to go over 2 twice once, which is exactly who you wanted onto. Black Wolf going to take the second one, but it's all the same, going to go over to the side of KQC. Ooh, is Black Wolf really low as well as Dodgy, but both are going to be able to walk away at what looked like sub 50 HP. Whew. And it's going to be KQC remaining deathless. They pick up 2 kills, and most importantly, one of them onto their AD carry, who also gets to use the red buff to shove in this wave. Domination will be able to be here to pick it up as a consolation prize, but that's all they get.
Yeah, I mean, Domination really unlucky there for the Aphelios, not being able to get any of those, like you said, sub 50 HP kills from KQC. But now the Grubs have spawned up. Nation is in the pit, as there is a little bit of trading coming out here from the top side, but Nation has to be careful. He doesn't have priority top here. Dodgy is in the area, and Maokai isn't exactly known for his fast objective takes, so this could potentially be spotted out as Ivern is moving here.
It does look like with Not So Dark having
they don't see him.
Yeah. But actually, we actually could have quite a fight here now, as Dodgy is going to be in the area, and it will be the Void Grubs already taken. But what can they do off the back of it? Is it going to be Asian rooting up Dodgy? Nowhere to go, as it is going to be Dabs picking up the last hit with that Lux auto attack. So the mid laner getting some resources in her pocket is definitely nice here. CPX not only picking up the grubs, but they also get the kill. So I mean, that definitely feels bad if you're KQC. I mean, if you're looking at that gold lead, it's pretty much even, but if anything, it's on the side of CPX. Is Tinsley gonna be a little bit chunked out first as Stubby pushes the wave in? Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, he pushes the wave in with the equalizer, manages to get himself a pretty free recall. Or does he? He actually, it looks like he just wants to stay in the lane a little bit longer.
Yeah, but trying to harass his Akali.
He's gonna use
the ultimate. I don't know if Akali has enough damage here to finish. Looks like won't even attempt to use that R2, as that would probably mean a one-way ticket into Rumble's Flame Spitter and death. But Akali going to go back. She does have teleport to come back into this lane. But yeah, Stubby now looking really strong. I mean, I know that in professional play in many places, at least in Korea, Rumble is considered to be really, really broken just because he's strong in lane. And then obviously where you actually pick Rumble for is the team fights. So in that way, it feels a little bit unfair, I think, right now. And we can kind of see that in this matchup.
Not only that, but he also fulfills the niche of needing an AP champion, right? A lot of top laners aren't comfortable. A lot of top laners aren't comfortable with playing more of those AP-styled champions. Things like the Mordekaiser are so heavily populated, especially at these elos, because not only is it an AP champion, but it's simple to get as Bucket Boy. Unfortunate cannon miss, but it happens to the best of us if it makes him feel better. as Dragon has spawned here.
Oh, okay. They really want this fight here as Black Wolf is going to get rooted up. Seems like he's really tanky here, able to get so many shields and heals coming through, but now starting to get low, and it is going to be Not So Dark able to back off. So both supports going low, but Nation not going to end up getting rooted there, and it's huge for Dabs with the double kill twice once, walking away. He's so low, but he is going to manage to stay alive. Name a more iconic duo, bot lane members of KQC, and being at barely any health but getting away. But I mean, this time, you know, that's kind of the only consolation, is that he did get away for the Xayah, because that's a lot of control ceded over to CPX in this bot side of the map. They're not going to be able to follow up with the Dragon due to their health bars, well, or maybe just, you know, deep pockets, I guess. Now this Lux 4-0 and 0 Quacks definitely going to start to be a big concern if you're KQC.
Yeah, I mean, Dabs is having a really rough game one, constantly disconnecting on the Swain. Didn't have a lot of time to shine in the laning phase as well, was constantly bullied out by Dodgy and Bucket Boy. But this game, he has been taking the pressure a lot better. Had his flash burned early on, but has managed to come back, not only getting himself 4 kills, but an over 20 CS gold lead against the Tristana. This has been a phenomenal performance on the Lux, and Stubby might be in trouble here. Dodgy in the area.
Yeah, Tinsley is a ways away, but Akali is pretty mobile, as we're going to see the equalizer come out, and look at Dodgy just melt. And it's now a question of whether Tinsley can finish off this kill. The root going to go through the Maokai, and Nation will be able to defend his top laner and Rumble. That is why this pick is so prized. Is now into the bot lane. We go straight into a fight. Is Not So Dark is going to be able to walk out of the feathers. Will twice once be able to line up some kind of route here. Doesn't look like it will be possible. And Aphelios doing so much damage here with the chakrams, or whatever they're called. And yeah, I mean, that's actually it. Not So Dark does end up falling, so it will be a 1-0 overall in the 2v2. Seems like the Tarek should have maybe been able to get out alive, but now Domination just trying to pick up the farm once again under this turret. We've seen this before, and the game does still remain pretty close here. Just a 500 gold advantage. Ooh, is Black Wolf thinking about it? Well, trying out a dive there, but they are not going to fully commit. Good idea, it seems like.
Yeah, Not So Dark returns to the lane, and Not So Dark on this Tarek still level 4 compared to Black Wolf on this Rakan level 6. That ultimate was really the key to KQC winning that 2v2 exchange, as Dabs going for the ultimate, whiffs it, but going to take a chunk out of Bucket Boy here.
Bucket Boy just actually jump forward. All the cooldowns have been used from Lux, so these minions are going to hurt on the back end, however. And so... yeah, I mean, the red side of KQC now taking this first dragon. It is a really late overall first dragon of the game, which just means that it's going to be a really long time. I mean, I guess it's not that late, but it's relatively late. So it's going to be a long time until KQC is actually able to stack anything up there. But still just 1,000 gold lead from CPX. Stubby, though, last game he was ahead. He was able to translate it into the victory. He's already got this proto belt finished, and he just hurts. I mean, I don't really feel like there's anything that, or you talked about how magic resist overall is a lot easier to build, and I agree, but I don't know what Tinsley's supposed to build in this matchup that makes it feel good right away. He's already got the he's already got his boots finished there, and really doesn't seem to be doing that much to help.
Yeah, I mean, there isn't a lot of defenses for AP champions like Akali. These AP assassins don't really have any items in their repertoire to be able to counter other AP champions. It really is just you trying to fight fire with fire. But I want to kind of go back to that gold lead that our producer Matt sort of highlighted a few moments ago. Yeah, a 900 gold lead in favor of Twice Once on this Xayah. Domination on this fella is really falling behind, and so this is definitely a shining light of potential hope for KQC here in this all-important game 2, a place for them to come back if they can play correctly around it and not have their bot lane get too punished by Nation.
Okay.
He is actually here.
Yeah, he would like to see that not happen, I guess. But Black Wolf is going to be able to buy a lot of time with that ultimate. Now able to get away. Zaya able to use her own ultimate to get to safety. Now twice once. Will get exhausted up, so not able to do very much damage. But now they do have reinforcements in Ivern and Daisy. But Daisy just going to be the sacrifice in this scenario. Bucket Boy trying to come around. Will he attempt to jump in? It's not so dark. Did use that ultimate now that he finally hit that level 6. So it's not
Bucket Boy W forward.
Oh, yeah, Dabs is going to be here. Blind Q not going to hit, but Domination is going to pick up the kill on Bucket Boy, who unfortunately made use of that W in a way that was, you know, not maybe ideal. Still did have the flash available, but was not able to utilize it. And now control again of this bot side, at least for the moment, goes over to CPX, and that's definitely going to feel nice for the Aphelios being able to pick up at least that one kill. Hopefully, maybe picking up a plate there as well. Looks like not quite, but going back to the base.
Yeah, absolutely.
Probably able to finish his item.
Yeah, Dabs now pushing in this mid lane as well. Something we didn't touch on is that CPX, they have all 6 grubs again, so they have the pushing power that they had in game 1. Not necessarily as strong as, I don't think the siege for CPX is as strong as it was in game 1, but 6 grubs is 6 grubs. Having the mites is still incredibly nice, and with the Rift Herald spawning in about 10 seconds here, those mites could come in handy.
Ivern, buddy, you're trying to take the Rift Herald, but there's 3 members of the enemy team in the area. Look at the moves. He flashes out after a fancy use of the Q, and okay. I wasn't familiar with your game, Dodgy.
Yeah, Dodgy with the Nimbus cloak as well, getting that little speed up. Will manage to get away for the time being, but CPX, no flash great on the Ivern.
He didn't die.
Yeah, that's wild. But now CPX, no flash on the Ivern. Ivern chunked out. They know this is a free Herald, and one they are most likely going to drop in the mid lane, which will give them so much more room to push up that vision line that has already been well established by this squad here.
Yeah, when I say he didn't die, I just mean, you know, it's actually not that huge of an accomplishment in the scheme of the fact that, or in the scheme of things, just because CPX now has that Rift Herald, and you know, it's like we said before, those win more objectives. CPX already with this gold advantage, about, you know, over 3,000, and they will look to drop the Rift Herald somewhere where they can expand that even more. Maybe down into the spot lane. It looks like Nation trying to come down here, and you know, as you mentioned, Quacks, before, this twice once is really the hope of the team here for KQC as far as this team comp and how this game has played out. So being able to push that Zaya back so she's not able to safely farm could be huge, but looks like Dodgy had, you know, anticipates that as well.
Rift Herald going to be dropped, and Nation, did he succeed in his driver's test? We're gonna find out.
He is going to be able to hit it, but now the rest of the squad is here. It will be an outnumber for KQC as Bucket Boy already in the area, but now, Tinsley, the ultimate from Turret going to be able to keep the team safe. Tinsley in the middle of 3, but has the Shroud. How long will Akali be able to survive? Is able to kill Not So Dark, but that's just the supported. Now the Akali is going to go down. Rest of the team under the turret. Look at the Lux ultimate as twice once going to end up getting burned down. Stubby finishing off what Dab started, and Bucket Boy hopping away only to get harpooned to death as BBF Dodgy gonna get rooted up. The last one gonna be taken down by Dabs, and this Lux going absolutely wild in this one. 6-0 and 3, and that's the difference of having a good internet connection.
Absolutely. Dabs is online, both literally and figuratively here in game 2, as now the Dragon will be CPX's reward, their first of the game. They likely won't be relying on Soul to win them this one, but a Dragon, especially a Cloud one, is a nice little reward to have, as now the Mountain will be our determined Soul. But yeah, Elsa, Dabs has really been showing up here into this game, along with Stubby. The flash over the wall to finish off twice once, and just being so aggressive on this Rumble has really paid off here and is really setting them up for success here in game 2.
It sure is. And I mean, yeah, we spoke in the first one about CPX's failure to end the game in a prompt fashion once they sort of got to this point. Remember, it was at about 30 minutes. They were still working to end the game. Right now it's at 17, so, you know, we're not expecting them to be knocking on the door anytime super soon. But we'll see how hard they can put their foot on the gas pedal here, as they have done a little bit of a switch up in the lane assignments now that that bot lane turret went down. And Luck's going to be in that bot lane, so I'm not sure what that exactly means, but we'll find out, I guess. I mean, Luck's really able to efficiently push that out, I suppose, so it probably just means not too much aggression. Although, speaking of that, Asian looking for twice once, and we're going to see the Rumble.
Equalizer!
So much damage from the Rumble's Flame Spitter. They were able to get out of the Equalizer relatively quickly after that initial burst. So twice once and crew manages to survive, but they use a lot of cooldowns. A lot of cooldowns utilized as far as ultimates, I guess, there, but CPX, they don't really burn too many summoners, it looks like, and they're still healthy as can be, so they're taking advantages for the next fight at the very least.
Yeah, absolutely. And now with the health bars being down for KQC, they're going to bring down the turret. So many Void Mites spawning to help assist in that take. Dav's just going to drop a laser for good measure. Now we're at the point where Lux's laser is basically on a non-existent cooldown. They're playing Earth while the rest of us are playing League of Legends. As yeah, CPX getting 2 outer towers now really allows them to put their foot on the gas, extend that pressure upward into the jungle of KQC, and really puts KQC on the back foot of game 2 here, as they struggle to really find any meaningful advantages here.
Yeah, I would have to agree. Unfortunately, after their initial success in the bot lane, it just seems like CPX definitely identified that well, and we're just able to take advantage of
that laser.
And yeah, I mean, Lux, I mean, and you could see that her ultimate cooldown, you can literally see it moving like it's already halfway back, so it's kind of ridiculous at this point. It just starts to become so oppressive, and yes, it's very magic damage focused here for CPX, but the gold is just not in the bank here for KQC to build the magic resist they need, and it doesn't seem like it will be anytime soon either. Baron spawning up at 20 minutes, so let's see how well CPX can use this to their advantage. They are on the blue side this time, which I feel like makes it a little bit easier to set some traps at those entrances.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like anyone that gets hit by this Lux laser might be having some Alderon flashbacks, as it is probably capable at this point, with the amount of damage it's doing, to completely eviscerate a planet. Not from any movie that I would know. Is CPX going to start up the Baron? But Dodgy is in the area.
Okay, yeah, he is.
Not anymore.
He is actually now in the area of the Death Chamber, as he has been dropped primarily by Lux, and Black Wolf actually not taking too much damage from that, but unfortunately he does not have smite, so he's not going to be able to do anything about this Baron take from CPX. And you know, we wanted them to try to be a little bit more assertive. Well, I definitely got what I asked for there, and Black Wolf now able to get himself to safety, but CPX feeling a little bit more confident in this one. I mean, if there's anything that allows you to put your foot on the gas pedal, it's Lux constantly pushing up these waves. This Black Wolf, he can only get away with it for so long. Never mind, he can continue to get away with it for as long as he wants.
Yeah, Black
for now.
Managing to live again, continuing the saga of KQC bot laners living with a sliver of HP. It keeps on happening.
You can't take away from KQC. They can avoid death really cool. So, you know, I mean, they get that.
Like, not necessarily a Korean queen, but the Queen of England. Avoiding death was kind of their specialty for a while now. But as we've been seeing in this game, it's not inevitable.
First week, you know, and I mean, just to even out my flame, to make it clear, you know, obviously, it's, you know, you're still trying to get your team together at this point in the season, and I definitely you know, feel that I can understand not having your identity all the way worked out quite yet here, but it has been CPX. You know, you can feel, you know, just the experience, maybe even if not of these 5, like you said, Quacks, of the, you know, multiple members on this team, of just sort of how you can create success in a competitive team environment. their team play has been pretty impressive so far in this series.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, CPX is a squad that kind of already came in prepared with team play. Players like Nasian and Not So Dark familiar with this as goodbye, Bucket Boy. Nope, manages to flash.
Ooh. Yeah, but gonna be able to jump out, but yeah,
squads like KQC who are most likely just friends or, you know, people that have never necessarily interacted before coming together for really their first or so event to try their hand at competitive. It's teams like this that take a little bit to get their foot off the ground. And yeah, definitely think KQC is worth the benefit of the doubt in regards to team cohesion, because against a team like CPX that already has the groundwork laid out, it can be pretty difficult in these first couple of weeks.
Yeah, for sure. And actually Lux finally having to flash away here, but after that looks like she's going to be really safe as hitting multiple members with that ultimate here. It's a double kill from the Aphelios, as it seems like dominating the last hit game in this one, but hey, that's definitely good enough. He's also done a lot of damage in some certain situations on this Aphelios, and Black Wolf looking for maybe one last play here, but I don't know if there's anything to be found, as it's going to be the stun coming through from the Taric. It's going to be the equalizer, and it's going to be KQC pushed back into their own fountain twice. Once going to get cut down by Stubby, who finally will fall to Tinsley, but that's going to be the only member who's taken down so far. And CPX, they're looking to end it out in 2 games here, just the Nexus left, and Dabs looks like well, actually I was going to say has the eyes on the prize. Really, they're all just trying to kill the enemy champions. They're succeeding in doing so. They're padding the stats, and they're going 2-0 in this first week of the APL, sponsored by Hot Pockets and CoachFi.gg.
Yeah, absolutely. CPX showing up big on week 1 here off the back of some really beautiful team play. And I think they looked a little bit shaky in game 1, but game 2 was definitely a masterclass in control. But at the same time, it just felt like KQC, they got a lot of advantages in game 2, particularly that flashless Lux, you know, putting Dabs on the back foot right out of the gate. And they were never really able to quite punish that Lux again. That Tristana, we never really panned toward mid lane, seeing that pick be aggressive, try to bully out the Lux with no real defensive tools in her arsenal, and just allowed that pick to scale, snowball, get kills, get malignants, get so much damage on the board. And it just felt like lack of proactiveness was really what killed KQC here in game 2, along with CPX coming in really clutch with some really good team play.
Yeah, I would have to agree for sure. And yeah, I mean, it's just the first week, but for CPX, I think definitely huge momentum to go off of here. And if you're a team going into CPX next week, I guess we can look at who their matchup is. But you know, there's just a lot of picks, I guess, to think about preparing for. Just because, you know, of how many different champions they showed, especially in the top lane, as far as the unique champions there. You know, Rumble, I guess not necessarily super unique, but obviously showing that they're more than competent on that pick. So yeah, I mean, excited to see what they can continue to do, and I definitely expect to see them later on in the season as well. Any closing comments here from you, Quacks, as far as this series?
No, I just think that CPX putting their marker on the map here in week 1, showing that they are here to play in the APL. And KQC, they were up against a tough team, and I think that they showed a lot of colors in this series despite the scoreline, despite the record. And like you said, Elsa, their diversity in champion picks was something that is to be commended, and something I think that they could really work off of, make that unpredictability sort of a staple of the team. And through unpredictability, it's really hard to draft. And as we've seen, draft can be a really big part of some of these Plat Emerald leagues. So we'll have to wait and see what they grow into. But for now, it's CPX taking the win 2-0 and looking strong while doing it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for everyone for tuning in and for bearing with us through, the spectator issues. So we will be back next week, though, on next Friday. Obviously, there'll be lots of Aegis in between that, but for the APL, hopefully we will have that spectator the next time we see you. But until then, I've been Elsa the Queen, joined by Quacks and Matt on the production. We will see you next time. Thanks for joining us.